Hey, what's up? I'm Sam Dean, and this is Plug Your Holes, the Plug Your Holes channel on YouTube, to be more specific. And this week we're going to talk about 10 tips for stretching your ears. And unless you want cat butts hanging from your ears, I suggest you listen. Number 1, go slow. I can't stress it enough, to the point where we talk about it in videos almost all the time. The slower you go, the better you're going to be, for tons of different reasons. You don't want to fight your body's natural elasticity. Pain is one thing, but excruciating pain is another. And that little bit of pain you get with a normal stretch is fine. You just don't want to go beyond that. It doesn't prove that you're tough. It might just prove that you're stupid. Number 2, moisturize. Dry skin turns into cracks when you stretch and you pull and you tug. And that's going to fight you every single step of the way. If you have moist, healthy skin, you're going to be in a dramatically better position than you were if you didn't at all. It's going to make the entire stretching process dramatically easier, and as you're healing, keeping it moisturized is going to keep it from causing any problems along that line too. We have ear butter for this exact reason, but there are other products out there that do great. Even something as simple as lotion or Vaseline is better than nothing at all. Number 3, seriously, slow the down. I can't stress this enough. This skipping sizes bullshit that we hear all the time is nonsense. Why are you skipping sizes? I understand maybe you're saving a couple bucks by not buying jewelry for that size, or maybe you're saving some time, but in the end, you're really just hurting your ears. People want healthy, stretched ears, and nobody can speak about that more than people who have had their ears stretched for a very long period of time. You're going to get to that point someday where your ears have been stretched for a very long time, and you regret causing them damage along the way. The fact is, it probably would go smoother and quicker if you took your time between each size, because then the next size is even easier. The more scar tissue you build up, the more resistance to stretching you're building in the future. So slow down, and the tortoise wins the race. Number 4, pay attention to what your body is saying. If you're still experiencing pain from a previous stretch, or you're experiencing itching in your ears, that is your body telling you do not stretch right now. Itching is usually contributed to healing, sometimes infection. If it is an infection, you want to put antibiotics, Neosporin, something in it to make sure that you are treating it the way that it needs to be treated. You want to make sure that your body is ready to be stretched. Number 5, materials. The reason we say the materials are so important is because a lot of things aren't impervious to your biological material sticking to it. This is why surgical stainless steel is used in the operating room, and that's why we suggest that more than anything else for your ears. As we mentioned in our last video, we don't really encourage tapering beyond 00 or so. Obviously, everybody has a different threshold, but that's what brings us to number 6. Just use tapers at small sizes. Tapers are awesome when you're going from 16 to 14 or from 2 to 0 even. They're very, very, very convenient things to be using. And we also recommend that you only use steel insertion tapers, as going back to point 5, making the entire process dramatically easier. But once you get above a certain point, those millimeter jumps, once you convert out of the imperial system, those millimeters are huge. You know, you don't think about when you think of the difference between 5/8 and 3/4. But realistically, that's a 3 millimeter jump. The first time you get a multi-millimeter jump is when you go from 2 to 0, and that's a 2 millimeter jump. You get another 2 millimeter jump at 0 to 00. But after that, it's pretty much bigger than 2 millimeter jumps. We don't really recommend using tapers for any jump over 2 millimeters. Number 7 is tape. We don't recommend any tape that has an adhesive, but we do recommend bondage tape or vinyl tape, and we do recommend plumber's tape or Teflon tape. Both of them are pretty easy to find. Bondage tape might be a little bit harder, at least if you're under 18. And plumber's tape you can pretty much find at any Walmart. Super cheap, very thin. You basically just want to do one wrap every day, sometimes twice a day, just to slowly and incrementally jump to the next size. We think that it's probably the safest method, period, just because it gives the littlest amount of stress over the longest period of time, and you're constantly getting bigger. But the downside is you really can't start stretching with tape until you get to like 0 or 00, mostly because the plugs themselves are just too small to really get a consistent wraparound. Number 8, we do like weights. Weights are probably the most natural and oldest form of stretching your ears. They have their pros and cons. One thing I do really like about them is it's kind of just letting your body do it as it needs to. The downside is you do end up with thin spots, especially at the bottom of your lobes. So if you already have an off-centered piercing where you kind of feel like you have less skin on the bottom than you do on top, weights probably aren't for you. The upside is if you get a weight that has a very large surface area, something that's just a very heavy plug, or maybe something that at least is 16 millimeters in diameter, if it's larger than 16 millimeters in diameter, you stop getting a lot of that reduction in the lower lobe loss, which is very nice. I like them especially for people who have very large stretched ears. Over an inch, it's awesome. But anything under that, the weight just isn't significant enough to make a huge difference. If you disagree, tell me your story. I think the most successful I've ever seen it has been over an inch. 9, do not stretch with silicone. We've said it time and time again. Come on, man. Why are you doing it? Why are you stretching with silicone over and over again? It blows my mind. It's possibly the worst thing you can do. We've given reasons time and time again. It's bad for you in almost every other way. Silicone is not meant to come in contact with open wounds. It is the constant pressure is not meant to be put on the body in any way, shape, or form. Stop using silicone to stretch. We're sick of hearing the horror stories, and we think that silicone is only something that should be worn for comfort, and occasionally we don't even think it's an everyday wear. Silicone is great for comfort. It's great for sleeping or going to a concert. It has really bright colors, but that's what it's there for. It's not meant to be an everyday wear. A lot of people complain about all the bad things that are in silicone or acrylic. Well, why are you wearing it every day? The problem is that some things are just meant to be worn for very short periods of time, where we suggest that you wear other materials the rest of the time. That brings us to numero dos. No, that brings us to numero diez. For all you Spanish-speaking. Number 10, don't stretch with an organic material. Wood and buffalo horn and things of that nature are porous, and they like to take in your organic material, and people will get their plugs stuck in their ears if you stretch. So if you have an unhealed piercing, I don't care how cool that pair of wood plugs is, set them on your dresser and wait till your ears stop healing, and you're going to be in a dramatically better place. And that brings us to other materials as well. Wood is probably one of the best things to wear consistently all the time once your ears are healed. It absorbs a lot of the moisture, keeps down a lot of the funk. Looks great. I've always loved wood. Pretty much every video I plug your holes, I've been wearing one. But we definitely suggest that you stretch with the aforementioned materials. Well, that's it. Another Plug Your Holes video. Tell us what you thought in the comments below, and we would love if you subscribed. It's definitely one of those things that we want out of you. Please subscribe. We appreciate the heck out of you even watching this in the first place. And if you guys have any ideas for future videos, we would love to do those videos too. We want to answer as many questions as we possibly can. And don't forget to go to plugyourholes.com. Obviously, plugyourholes.com makes these videos possible. So thank you guys very much, and cheers.